Right, the numbers are pretty steady now, so I think we'll get started. Good morning, everybody. My name's Jane. I work for the support team at GovernorHub. I'm joined by Danielle, who is the specialist content editor for GovernorHub Knowledge. Also, David is on the chat. He's the head of support at GovernorHub, and also Polly, who is our marketing manager. So if you've got any questions as we go along, please do feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go along. So if you coming along to this webinar, it could be that you already have GovernorHub and you're looking at what GovernorHub Knowledge, the full package, can offer your board or your trust. Or perhaps you've already got a subscription to GovernorHub Knowledge and you just want to have a little look under the hood, see if you can pick up any tips or tricks or things that you didn't know about GovernorHub Knowledge to sort of use it better. So I think as you see on the first slide, GovernorHub Knowledge really is everything a governor or trustee needs in one place. And that's one of the first things that I want to say about GovernorHub Knowledge is that it's one login that gives governors access to all of their papers, all of their board tools, and all of their training and advice about governance in one place. And that's one of the big ideas behind it. If you already have GovernorHub, you will be aware of some of the things here, that you're in good hands with GovernorHub. We are a team of experienced governors and educators. We have a team, a well range of backgrounds in education, from senior leaders through, that's primary all the way up to university, SENCOs, middle managers, SLT, and crucially, all governors. So we're governors too. So we are very knowledgeable. And we also experience on a day-to-day basis what your governors and trustees experience also. We, in the background, as well as providing the wonderful tool that is GovernorHub and GovernorHub Knowledge, we do campaign to raise the profile of governance. We're very passionate about governance. You may have seen some of our reports that we have produced over the years, such as last year. Actually, I think it was this year, we did a report about community engagement, how trusts can engage communities and the local tier of governance. We've previously done work on diversity and also on the role of the trust governance professional. And, you know, part of my role at GovernorHub actually is to really champion the role of the trust governance professional and empower you through training and advice to get so that you can get the best out of GovernorHub also. We partner with Governors for Schools and iGovs. You may have seen the Hoot, which is our free access blog. You can actually access that from within GovernorHub, but actually anyone can access it as well. The Hoot is a fantastic resource because there are always engaging articles about governance, about things that are in the news, and there's a very handy weekly news briefing that governors and trustees can sign up to. And I think that is absolutely brilliant because it gives you an email that has the top stories from education for the week and also links to resources on GovernorHub Knowledge that sort of help you with those things. And I think, you know, if you don't work, if you're a governor or a trustee and you don't work in the field of education, the news is always full of headlines to do with education. It condenses it to what governors need to know and also gives them the resources to ask the right questions and to, you know, have strategic oversight of their board and get the direction going and be compliant as well. So I just wanted to highlight that, and I'll show you where it is when we go into GovernorHub in a minute. So let me just give you the highlights before we do go in. Firstly, of course, GovernorHub Knowledge gives you access to more than 1,000 practical and timely resources that are written by our team of governance experts. And in a moment, you're going to hear from one of them. Danielle is going to take the second part of this webinar and talk to you a little bit about how they work. There's quick reads, questions to ask, editable templates, and downloadable checklists. And each of those are so important. The questions to ask one, I personally find really useful because when you're a governor or a trustee and you need to ask the right questions, you know what you want to ask sometimes, but just the phrasing of them is tricky. And the questions to ask are all about every area that you might want to ask questions, and they just help you choose from a question bank and just phrase your question in the right way so that you can be very sort of objective in the way that you ask them. So obviously it includes that, which used to be called the Key for School Governors, but is now GovernorHub Knowledge. Secondly, It has online interactive training courses and learning pathways that are fully integrated with your training record on GovernorHub. So all of your training that your governors and trustees need to do, the statutory training is covered here. So things like safeguarding, safer recruitment, prevent. And we've also just added a fantastic suspensions and exclusions course there as well as a whole host of others, which I'll show you in a moment. And they're great because governors and trustees can access these and you can signpost them when you want them to complete them. And once completed, they are automatically added to their training record on GovernorHub. So you don't even need to sort of keep tabs of that because the system automatically keeps that all within one area. Thirdly, GovernorHub Knowledge has 30 plus model policies with guidance of how and when to review them. It tells you which ones are statutory and which ones are non-statutory. And it's a really useful starting place when it comes to policies. Engagement emails tailored to your role. So when we send out, we don't send out too many emails. We try not to, but the ones we send out, we want them to be useful. We want to serve up content to you to keep you engaged with the GovernorHub Knowledge and the knowledge on there. But also because it's tailored to your role, we try to make sure it's always relevant. So if you're a chair, for example, we try to make sure that the content we serve up to you is relevant to your role as chair. And if you're a governance professional, we try to make sure that that's relevant as well. So that's very important because you then have the knowledge to act and contribute effectively. And that's the main idea behind this. Now, if you're a trust, there are some additional perks of GovernorHub Knowledge. If you have GovernorHub Knowledge for all your schools, you also get access to a training booking system, a back-end admin site, and so also additional integrated tools. And very soon we're launching an integrated skills audit. And after Danielle has finished speaking, I'll show you that in a bit more detail. The training booking system is extremely useful because the training that I've showed you there that's on GovernorHub Knowledge obviously is online, which is great because when you need when somebody needs to do it, they can do it at their convenience. If they work during the day and they can't make an in-person course during the day, they can still complete their training in their own time. However, as we all know, there's still a place for training that's tailored to your school or your trust. Perhaps you're running an annual governor conference, or perhaps you're running a chairs network meeting. Those are also can be integrated within GovernorHub too, and the bookings can be made and they can be automatically added to your training record. So it's like a wonderful whole package that covers all areas. Right, let's go in and have a look. So I will just come out of here. And you'll all be, if you have GovernorHub already, you'll be familiar with this page. This is GovernorHub. And the Hoot link that I was talking about is here. So you can access the Hoot from here, but you can actually just access it at thehoot.news because that is a free access blog. GovernorHub Knowledge, don't need to log in separately. In your sidebar in GovernorHub, the menu, if you have a subscription, will have the option for knowledge. And when you click into it, it takes you straight there. And this is what it looks like. So you have the menu along the top with all the resources. There's a search bar. And then on the landing page there, what we try to do is serve up content that is relevant right now. So what's recommended this week? And you can also see what other people are looking at most this week as well. So all your colleagues, what are they looking at? And what you can do is you can pick something that's really important now. So for example, at the start of the year, this one, I would say, is particularly important. A summary of the changes to keeping children safe in education. So if you want to, obviously they're going to read it as well, but if you want to give a summary, key things that governors need to know about the changes, this is a really important article. So you can actually share it with everybody on your board or your trust. All you do is you click share on GovernorHub, and then all of your boards will appear in this menu. So if you're just on one board, one board will appear. You can select what boards you want, or you can select them all. It posts, have a look at this with a link to the article. You can obviously edit that text, to dear colleagues, and a little bit of an introduction. We've got the changes to keeping children safe in education. Please find attached a summary. And when you click share, just with a few clicks, you send the link to that article to every notice board that you want to send it to. And also it triggers an email alert as well to your governors and trustees so that they know that there's something for them to look at on GovernorHub. So you can quickly share that knowledge just with a few clicks. If, for example, you want to share some knowledge with one person, because obviously that's how you share it with the whole board, but there might be occasions when you want to share some knowledge with one person, you can do that as well. So at the search bar is where I often go, because obviously you can go by section across the top here. But let's just say there's a governor on your board and they're fairly new and they're looking to do a governor visit and they've never done one before and they need some advice and some guidance. You can search for the resource. So just put in governor visit and straight away you've got a quick read. What do they need to know about governor visits? What are they? What are the two types of visit? What should you do? What should you avoid? And there's also a download. You can even download a template for a governor visit as well. So really useful for anyone that's doing their first visit and has never done one before. So rather than share on GovernorHub, this time, if you select share with colleagues, this box pops up and you pop in their email address, add a nice little personal message, and you can sort of say, you know, like, dear colleague, I understand you've got a governor visit coming up. Here's a resource that will really help you with that. And then you can share the article and it will send them an email with the link to the article there. So again, a really easy, useful way to signpost people to advice and knowledge. There are a number of other little features that I want to show you within GovernorHub Knowledge. So for example, if you have a particular responsibility or a role, let's just say you're the governor responsible for careers. That's quite a new role, actually, that was just brought in this year, isn't it? And it was one of the statutory ones as well that you have to have on your board. So the role of the Link Governor for Careers. Here's a really good article about what your role is, what you should do, how to monitor it, ways to monitor it, questions to ask when you visit, where you can find further training, a link to Ofsted. So great to know about if you're in charge, if you're the Link Governor for careers. So a little tip of what you can do is you can actually save it for later. So you can bookmark it. And the advantage of that is there is a little reading list within GovernorHub Knowledge here. And if you click here, anything you've visited, there's a little breadcrumb trail of here. So that's great. So you know how if you go on to something and you get distracted and then you go back to it later and you can't find it, but you can go back to any articles that you've recently visited here. But here, the articles that you've saved, if you've bookmarked it, if anything changes in the guidance with that area of responsibility, you get an email. So if you're in charge of something like careers, if something changes in the guidance, you're one of the first to know, because as soon as something changes, we update our articles and you'll get an email alert if you've saved it. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that, because I think that's a really useful feature to always keep on top of what the guidance is in your area. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just knowledge here. We've got a fantastic training offering, on-demand, online training offering here. We are all new suspensions and exclusions courses there. Safer recruitment. We've got Link Governor training, the statutory safeguarding training, pupil premium. We've got staff governor and parent governor courses here, which I think are excellent, because induction courses are great, but actually parent governors and staff governors need a little bit more, because they, you know, sometimes, you know, particularly if you think about the role of the parent governor, actually sometimes it can be quite an awkward position to be in, and being very, very clear about your role is very important. And this course goes through some scenarios that you might find yourself in and what you should do. We partnered with schools, Governors for Schools, for a head teacher recruitment course. We've got Prevent, Link Governor, and we've also got some learning pathways for things like managing finance and how to deal with complaints. So this is all here. But actually, we know in the real world, although everybody can access it, it's really important to signpost people to the training that they need to do. And you can do that. So let's just say you had an exclusion panel coming up and you wanted more governors to sort of volunteer and take part in exclusion panels. You can actually signpost governors to the course. So you could go into the suspensions and exclusions course, and let's just say there's one person that you wanted to take part in an exclusions panel and you wanted them to do the course first. You could share with colleagues, same way as we did with the articles. You pop in their email address, dear colleague, I understand you're interested in helping with our exclusions panel. Here's a course for you to do prior to the event that will help you have the knowledge to take part in this. You can share it with them. It will send them the course link by email, and they can get on and do it. And then when they enter and start the process of doing the exclusion panel, they will feel a lot better prepared and more likely happy to be involved in that sort of thing, because it's fearful, isn't it, if you haven't got the right knowledge. And if you go into something as important as an exclusions panel, you really want to make sure that you know what you're doing. Similarly, if it's a course that you want everybody to do, so for example, the safeguarding course, you might want everybody to do that. Again, you can share on GovernorHub. It will connect with your board or your boards if you have multiple boards. You can select the boards that you want to send it to. It'll say, have a look at this, but you can edit that. Dear colleagues, please find the link to your safeguarding course. Please, could you complete by 20th of October? You can share it with them. It will post it on all the notice boards, and it will also send an email alert. So nobody can say they weren't told where their safeguarding course is. They probably will try to say that, but they can't say that because you've emailed them and you've put it on their notice board. And as I said before, any training completed here automatically adds to the training record on GovernorHub. So you can download a training report for your board and you can see who has completed the course and who hasn't. Okay, so what I would like to do now is I'd like to just go back to my PowerPoint, and I'd like to introduce you to Danielle, who is our specialist content editor who creates a lot of this content that you see here. And she's going to tell you a bit more about how that content is created and some other features that we already have. Danielle.
Hi everyone, so I'm Danielle. I'm specialist content editor at GovernorHub. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about kind of how it works behind the scenes, so you know a bit about what goes on behind the content. So like Jane's already said, our content editors and the rest of the team are all experienced in the sector from a wide variety of teaching backgrounds. We're all current school governors. I'm currently a chair on a maintained board in a primary school, and we've got all through. We've got special school governors, we've got an all-through school governor, we've got secondary schools, we've got LGBs for trusts, and we've got kind of a broad range of experience across all of them. So we can really pull on each other for kind of experience in certain things when we're writing, which is great. And then we're all trained. The training process is quite rigorous, and we're trained in all things governance, research, compliance, as well as constantly keeping our ear to the ground and finding out what's going on in the sector, because we live it every day as school governors. So we have that, and we have our experts and partners in the sector as well that we keep up with, so that we know what's coming up and we know what we need to be ready for, so that we can get it out to you guys as quickly as possible. Next slide, please, Jane. So how do we work as a team? Our articles are updated on a rolling cycle. So normally every year, every article will get a really good review. But that's not the only time we'd update it. So we don't only update our articles when we've got new guidance. They are looked at regularly. If we receive feedback saying this wasn't quite clear or this isn't quite right, then we update them then. Or at any point through the year where we feel like some articles need a bit of a tweak, then we'll go in and we'll freshen them up. So they're always being looked at, and we have specialists for different areas, so that we know our area really well and we know when we need to make tweaks and make things better. So they don't just sit there and get dusty. They are reviewed really regularly to try and give you the best information that we can. Like Jane mentioned, our suspensions and exclusions training has been really popular, and it only came out a couple of weeks ago, and it's already loads of people have taken it, and we've got some really good feedback, so we're really proud of that one. It's designed for governors to they can dip in and out of it. They can take the whole course at the start of the year, and then when it comes to sitting on a suspensions and exclusions panel, they can then go back in and refresh themselves on different areas, ready for the panel. I know that before this came out and I sat on a suspensions and exclusions panel, it was really difficult to find training because a lot of local authorities have kind of a video training thing that you go to, and it's not always available when you need it. So having this on demand has been really great, and I wish I had it when I did my training. It's just all there for you, and you can do it whenever you want. So that's been really good. We only use authoritative sources, so we have partners in the sector, we have governance experts that we work with, we have a huge kind of expert bank of people, and they tell us what they specialise in, and we reach out to them when we need them. We work with partners who work in governance every day. We've worked with people at kind of like CST or other well-known governance companies, and we get their advice as well as our own expertise. So we don't just rely on what we know, we reach out to other people to make sure that what we know is the most up-to-date information and that we're not missing anything when we're writing new articles. We also work with Forbes, so any policies that we write, anything that's got a legal aspect to it goes to our legal partners at Forbes to look through as well, so we make sure we're getting it 100% right. And then obviously the government guidance as well. We speak to the DFE quite frequently. If we need things in the guidance clarifying, we'll reach out to them. If they've got something new that's coming out, we do have some contacts in the DFE who will say, oh, just so you know, this is coming out next week, so we can get a bit of inside information. And that's all obviously really useful for getting everything to you guys in a really timely manner. Our commitment to quality means we're always undertaking training and mentoring. We're all really passionate about governance, and our passion is kind of in making governors the best that they can be. And to do that, we need to know what's going on, and we need to make sure that we know how to deliver that to you in the best way. So yeah, we have mentors, we mentor other people, and it's kind of an ongoing CPD cycle. So we're always learning and always trying to improve what we're doing. And then every article that we write is sent to our sub. So they will look kind of the grammar and everything is right, but what we're delivering makes sense to everyone. They'll kind of go, oh, have you written this in the best way? Where have you got this information from? So they're really there to make sure that everything is perfect before it goes out. Next slide, please, Jane. So in our content, you can expect it to be fact-checked several times. It is very rigorous, the way that it goes. It's reviewed regularly, like I said. Everything's updated whenever there are changes to guidance. I'll talk a bit about that in a minute, what happens when guidance drops. It's written with busy governors in mind. So one of our kind of key things that we work towards is say less better. So the government guides can be quite wordy, they can be difficult to understand, and governors, we're all volunteers and we're all very busy, and we need to make sure that you have the information you need as quickly and as easily as possible. So we try and write it that way. And it's designed to give you the knowledge to act. So when we're writing articles or reviewing them, we're always thinking, okay, what do we need? What would a governor need here to make this easier? Which is where we have our templates and downloads and questions to ask. Quite a lot of our questions to ask also have what a good answer looks like as well. So you don't just have that question, you have an expectation of what you want to hear from school leaders or trust leaders when you're asking those questions, which I find really useful. Next slide. So when government guidance drops, this is kind of where we all spring into action. We drop whatever we're doing at the time, and we move really quickly to make sure that you know what you need to know about that guidance. So within 24 hours of guidance dropping, normally the same day that it drops, unless it's really late in the day, you'll receive an email saying this has happened, this is what you need to know. So it's at that point, it's not necessarily a big summary of the guidance, but it's the top things that you need to look out for, even if it's something that you don't necessarily need to do anything about. We make sure we send those out as well, so that you feel reassured that maybe it's you don't need to act right now. So a good example of that would be when the DFE published the expectations for boards to publish diversity data last year. It wasn't necessarily something you needed to do straight away. So we sent out a need to know saying, you don't need to worry about this yet. This is what they've said. These are your next steps. So it's kind of a reassuring email to go, okay, this has happened. This is what you need to know. And then if it's something that requires a summary of changes, so something like keeping children safe in education, the kind of big documents like that, within 48 hours, normally we release a summary of changes. So that's the one that Jane was showing you earlier, where we've got a much more in-depth, this is what's changed, and you can look through that. And that's, again, within 48 hours. So still quite timely within the guidance drop. And then after that point, we look at all of our content and think about what needs to be updated. So, for example, where we reference like the Ofsted inspection handbook, we'll quite often point people to specific paragraphs. And if they update it, the paragraph numbers change. So we have a big list of articles, and then we have to go through and change all the paragraph numbers or change specific things that are no longer relevant because the guidance has changed. So that's kind of our next step after we've done the need to know and the summary of changes. Then we look at the rest of the content. But again, we judge the priority of those and try and make them try and keep them up to date as quickly as we can. There's been a lot of changes recently, so this process has happened quite a lot. Next slide, please, Jane. So this is our engagement email. So this engagement email goes out once a week on a Monday morning, every week. It's there in your inbox, and it's personalised to your role. So we have different engagement emails that go out for trustees, local governing bodies, and maintained boards. And then within them, the emails are also personalised to chairs, board members, and governance professionals. So there's 9 different emails that go out every week. You just get one into your inbox on a Monday morning, and it has the top content that you need for you. So you'll probably see my face pop up on these because I actually write the engagement emails. Every week I pick things that are in the news, things that might be coming up, things that are kind of relevant to the time of year. So at the moment, I've sent out a lot of kind of preparing for your first meeting of the year, agenda items, what to expect, electing your chair and vice chair, things that happen in the autumn term would go out at this time. And every week they're written weekly, so we can keep on top of everything that's happening, and they're personalized for your role and for your board. So they appear on a Monday morning, and hopefully are really helpful to help you kind of keep on top of everything that's going on in the sector. Okay, next slide. So as well as our content, we also offer a bespoke advice service. So if you can't find the answer to something in Knowledge, you can ask us directly. You can do this via the chat function in GovernorHub. And one of our team will respond to you within 3 days. Normally it's the same day, unless we're really busy if kind of a need to know happens or something. It comes straight through to us, human beings. We don't have AI responses for our content queries, and we'll give you 100% of the answer. So if we can't find the answer within the guidance or legislation, then we'll contact the relevant departments, so the DFE, Ofsted, whoever we need to get 100% of the answer for you. It can be very time consuming, so governors don't have time to do that kind of thing, and that's what we're here for. So we will spend the time looking through and finding the answers for you, and then we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. Next slide, please. And then you can also send us your feedback. So every article and training course has the option to send feedback. It's just a 5-star rating system, and then you can add a little comment about how you found it. We obviously love receiving the 4- and 5-star feedback, but we do also really really find it helpful when people give us feedback when something's not quite gone right. So if you've read an article and some of the things didn't quite make sense, or if you feel like something could have been written better, or a really helpful thing is if you feel like we could have added something else, like maybe you needed a download or you weren't sure on some of the terms in the article, then that's really useful for us to know. So the low feedback scores, we reply to every single one, and we'll quite often update our articles to reflect that feedback as well. So it's not just, you're not just typing into the void. We do look at them all, and we really appreciate all of the feedback that you give us as well. Okay, next slide. Oh, and then back to Jane for some self-efficacy tool news. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. That was really, really great. It's so, you see, I can show you the tool and I can show you how you use it, but actually what Danielle's just shown you and talked about there is so important, because to see how these things are produced and the and how authoritative they are, I think is really encouraging and really important, and interesting, fascinating. I just wanted to end by telling you about a new feature that's coming to GovernorHub Knowledge very soon. It actually has been created, but it's been rigorously tested as we speak. We are adding a self-efficacy tool very, very soon. This is essentially a skills audit that governors can complete within GovernorHub, and you can collate the results if you are a governance professional. I just wanted to share with you some screenshots of that and how that will work. So within the profile, where governors have currently their details and their training records and their declarations and confirmations, their compliance tab. They will soon have an additional tab, if you have GovernorHub Knowledge, for effectiveness. And they will be able to complete the effectiveness profile within GovernorHub, so they can rate themselves against the statements. They can indicate what they have experience of and what they would like experience of, things like chairing meetings and exclusions panels and performance management, etc. They can indicate what they already have experience of and what their skills are. And when they've completed that, it comes up with a profile for them. So it'll give them an overview of their effectiveness. It will an overview of their skills. It will identify their training needs and their experience. So you can collate all this information and use this dynamic data usefully and plan. So for example, you can identify, where are your aspiring chairs? Succession planning, you can use that information for. Who has got the skills to be able to help with performance management? Right, we need to know that so we can use it for head teacher performance management. Who's taken part in complaints panels, or who would like to take part in exclusions panels? Let's signpost them to the exclusion training. In my experience, the skills audit, as it currently stands, how most boards use it, it's difficult. It's quite clunky to fill in. It's a right job to collate. This system will do that for you. So once completed, as I say, it will sit within their profile like this, and again, everything in one place, which is the stop line we started with at the beginning. So I hope this has been helpful. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time out on a Friday to go and find out more about GovernorHub Knowledge. If you don't have GovernorHub Knowledge currently, so you look on your sidebar and Knowledge is not there, please do get in touch, because we do offer a free trial if you want to try it out and see if it works for you. If you're a trust governance professional and you want to speak more about how the map functionality of GovernorHub, please do also get in touch, because we'd be very happy to show you that and to again give you a trial. So it just remains to say thank you so much. Polly, I think, is putting a survey in the chat. Please also do fill in the survey link. Like Danielle says, we do really like to get your feedback, and we like to know if these sessions are useful. We run them every so often, and just knowing if they're useful is really great information for us. And if there's ways you think we could improve it, obviously, please let us know. And thank you again for your time, everybody, and enjoy your weekend.